Bhadra is ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Bhadra, now you unmute, on your video and start the session. Over to you. Yeah,
Okay,
please.
sir.
Thank you.
A very pleasant evening to one and all present here. I, Sushmita Bhadra from the Department of CSE, welcome you all to the second day of the three-day session for the virtual grand finale of Smart India Hackathon 2020 software edition at GIT University, Gurgaon. Today we are here to emphasize on the most crucial topic, leadership, and its importance in the educational platforms like SIS. We are well acquainted with the fact that in every field, whether it is in the platform of SIS or any other educational platform, leadership has always played a vital role in inculcating and enhancing the hidden qualities of the individual. Leadership in both a research area and a practical skill encompasses the ability an individual or an organization to lead or guide other individuals, teams, or entire organizations. Many personal characteristics were found to be reliably associated with leadership emergence. Individuals who are well acquainted with their qualities, including their values and beliefs, and are less biased while possessing self-relevant information are more likely to be accepted as leaders. From my point of view, being a leader, it is the most important task to take the proper care of your team members. When you take care of them, they take care of you and your customers. Supporting your team members for their professional development and directing them to sketch out their career path is also important so that they can get the rough idea about their goals and also how to achieve them. Now it's time to introduce our guest, Padma Shri Professor Ajoy Kumar Rai, former Director, Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur. He is also former Vice-Chancellor, Bengal Engineering and Science University, Shri, and a retired professor at IIT Kharagpur. Roy had completed his bachelor degree from Bengal Engineering College, Shibpur, followed by M.Tech and Ph.D. from Electronics and Electrical Communication Engineering Department of IIT Kharagpur. He joined IIT Kharagpur as a faculty in 1980. On adding to the above information, Professor Roy has also successfully completed 20 research projects and several consultancy projects sponsored by several agencies like Defense Research and Development Organization, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Science and Technology, INDAL, and so on. He was the principal investigator of research projects sponsored by Intel Corporation during 1997 to 2004. During this course of this research project, he was the co-inventor of six US patents jointly with Intel Corporation. Professor Rai is the chief investigator of the Texas Instruments sponsored research project being conducted at the School of Medical Science and Technology at IIT Kharagpur. Professor Rai was associated with the University of Southampton as a senior research fellow during 1989 to 1990 and led the research group on image and video processing of Avisere Inc. USA during 2004 to 2005. He also published 160 research papers in international journals and conferences and has authored five books published by international publishing houses such as John Wiley, Tata McGraw Hill, Prentice, Hall of India, and Tyler and Francis publications, including one. In addition, under his leadership, his group in the School of Medical Science and Technology has initiated a number of research projects on molecular imaging and image processing, medical instrumentation, early detection of oral, breast, and cervical cancer, coronary artery disease detection, epidemiological studies, and bioinformatics, all of which are of national importance. Ajoy is the fellow and member of many professional bodies and is involved with a large number of universities in their academic body. He has been serving a number of national companies on higher technical education. He has been associated with Nehru Museum and Science and Technology, IIT Kharagpur, as Secretary and Chairman from 1991 to 2000. So, I welcome you, sir, to speak a few words about today's session. Please, sir, are you there?
Yeah. Okay. Shall I start?
Yes, sir.
So a very good evening to all of you, the members of faculty of this great university at Gunupur, the students, and most importantly, the student participants who have taken active part in this Smart India Hackathon. And I'm sure that they have been doing very well in this very important project of AICT and also MHRD. Now, my dear students, I will directly address you. It's very important to understand that we are now at a very important juncture of our civilization. We have already entered long back in digital mode, and the most important thing to understand is that this COVID-19, this has forced us to go completely online and digital. So gone are the days of the old analog processing. So we have now very much entered into the realm of digital life, every sphere of life. So in management and in leadership, the first thing that you have to understand is that the whole world has gone digital. The second important thing that comes to my mind is before becoming a great leader, you have to first understand that in whichever sector you are giving your leadership, whether it is in the area of business, in technology, or maybe that in any other sundry areas, the most important thing to understand is that you have to know about the evolution of that particular subject. Remember that the whole world is evolving. The only truth is the change. And we have to consider that every moment that rate of change is increasing. And it is increasing at such a pace that it is very difficult to predict anything today on what is going to happen after 20 years. Absolutely, it's not possible. And this has been possible because of the tremendous developments in diverse areas of science and technology. The third important thing that in my mind, you all should know that when I'm talking about evolution, that is how this particular domain it came up. Like say today we are talking about Smart India Hackathon. What is the meaning of that? That means we want that in every sphere of the human endeavor, India must make use of the technologies, and then those technologies must be smart technologies. One may think that, okay, the technologies that we have been working yesterday, are they not smart? The answer is very precisely yes, they are also smart, but then we are going and we are moving smarter and smarter every moment, and newer technologies are coming up. To this end, I understand that many of you have been working in the area of, the mobile-based technology development, and this is a very important year for all of us. You should know that in 1895, that is exactly 125 years back, here in Calcutta, Sir J.C. Bose, he was the first to develop the wireless communication from a transmitter to a receiver without any wire, where in fact Marconi also had done it, but Sir J.C. Bose was the first in the world to use a semiconductor, that is a galena-based detector. So this is a very important stuff. That is, you are using mobile today, wireless communication technology, and the origin was in India, and those days in British Calcutta was the capital. So Acharya J.C. Bose, Jagadish Chandra Bose, she was working in the British India with very minimal facilities, the kind of facilities that our students get today. And imagine that those days, 125 years back, there was nothing in India, absolutely nothing. And yet he could develop a transmitter which transmitted a signal, and then without any wire he could communicate that signal to another room of Presidency College, and then in that room a receiver was there, that galena based detector, and then he had detonated a small thing, and that was the birth of the mobile or the wireless communication in India. So today on the 125th year, the most important thing is again the wireless technology. So everything is wireless today, because gone are the days of wired technology, whether it is in the area of healthcare or in the area of agriculture or in the area of textile, where I understand that this university is very good, or in the area of transportation, business, whatever you talk about. So we will be using lots of wireless technology, we will be using lots of digital technology. These are all known to you. Let's now see that how the whole leadership issue comes and how the evolution of this particular area comes to our mind, so that we become very good leaders. One of the things that come is, suppose in this Smart India hackathon, you are working on diverse areas, and one of the most important things is that all these areas are today interdisciplinary. Because gone are the old days where we used to think that, okay, you are from computer science department and he's from agriculture, this gentleman is from textiles. In the new education policy, I found that there was a good, very good, aspect of it is that they have given and they are giving much more importance on interdisciplinariness of the science, technology, humanities, whatever it is. So what is this interdisciplinariness? Now, interdisciplinariness means that let's take the case of agriculture engineering, because at no point of time, I am with IIT Kharagpur for the last 40 years, because I have seen the technology evolving. And it's very interesting, we have an agricultural engineering department, and they were using their old, agro machineries, tractors and all. Then the post-harvest technology center, and there was hardly any communication with us. We were in electronics or computer science and all. But today, the situation has completely changed. Let's consider, because I'm sure that agriculture being a major area, yet not much of importance is given by the conventional universities. Now, what are the things that can be thought about today? For example, in the country today, if you just see, we do not have any soil map. Have you ever seen any soil map? Soil map means that the map of the condition of the soil in a particular region. For example, even in say Gunupur, your own area, university area, and around that, there must be lots of agricultural fields and all. But then what is the nature of the soil there? The biological, the physical, and also the different types of other parameters of the soil. Whether this soil is good for a certain type of crop or not? So it is extremely important. Suppose if somebody takes up this job, that in the whole state we should have, there is no state in India where we have got a complete soil map. We have got, the land record map, but then that's not the soil map. So in Smart India Hackathon, some of you, the young entrepreneurs, and you should know that, okay, this is a very, very important thing for our agriculture, because you have to know about the different physical parameters of the soil. You have to know about, the crop map. So is there any crop map? Yes, it is there, but it's not very well done, because in many cases the crops are not multi-crops. So we have to understand that for a certain type of crop to grow, now what should we do? It depends on the kind of soil that we have got. The third important thing is that it is not only the soil, you have to think about the weather prediction. Now this weather prediction, is it there? Yes, it is there. But then again, it has to be made more smarter. Because now, we can do a prediction, maybe that 6 days, 7 days, and especially in the east coast of our country, we are confronted with lots of, cyclonic weather, and quite often, only few, I should say only a month back we had Amphan. Now, this kind of things, the weather prediction becomes so important. And the weather prediction, that is again another area, but then they will be giving the complete, through the machine intelligence, they will be giving the suggestion about which kind of crop should be here. Not only that, the economics part of it. The economics is again another different area. So until and unless the soil specialists, the agro specialists, the weather specialists, the water specialists, because it is extremely important that for certain type of crop we need more water, irrigation specialists, and most importantly, the overall economics and the finance part of it. So together with, so many other disciplines, it is important to understand that we have to take a decision about any of the small things, and it becomes an interdisciplinary area. Say fertilizer, what kind of fertilizer will be required? The recommendation of the fertilizer in a certain type of crop, is it there? No. Why it's not there? Because even say disease detection, the farmers, they do not know and they do not have any idea about what kind of disease is there in our crops. So these are all not very difficult, but for doing all these things, pest management, disease detection, all that we need is a large number of sensors. What are these sensors? Somehow in our country, we are talking about, Smart India Hackathon, but then I must say that we have not given much of importance in the development of sensors. So this is one technology. Sensors mean the different types of sensors. It may be electrical sensor, it may be electromechanical sensor, it may be, the biological sensor. For healthcare, we need lots of biological sensors. So for different types of, in the different domains, please remember that before you give a leadership, you have to know the interdisciplinariness, because one area directly affects other areas. I will not talk about, simple things on the leadership aspect, which is, generally known by the, the management people about how to give a leadership. But in my opinion, the leadership in this 21st century, and especially in this phase of the transition, has to be, squarely it should rest on the understanding of the underlying technology which is bringing the change, and that's very important. So automatic, the irrigation system, the watering system, this is now becoming a very, very important area, simply because of the fact that water will be the major scarce things tomorrow. Remember that it will not be very easy. And to solution of this water problem, because large number of our crops, they depend on their water dependent crops. And then we have to think about, every drop of water will be a major problem, because in a smart city we are going to do, but then Madras, several Indian cities are having tremendous scarcity of water. And then, maybe that 10 to 15 cities will be having tremendous water scarcity in the next, 10 years. And a large tract of Indian, regions will be facing this shortage. So the water systems management and how to make use of the water is a very important thing, because even, this leadership means the planners, they are the major leaders. So planners, again, they have to know about the technology. This is one of the, very important things, that if you want to do give any kind of leadership, you must be very much aware of the underlying technology that is coming up. So a very, so as you can see that so many different things are here involved with this. The next important thing is to understand another area which really is one of the major areas, especially we are finding now that the nature, and in front of the nature, we are really so helpless. Today, the whole world, we are confronted with this COVID-19. Yet, the researchers, it's one of the very interesting papers in Nature I found, that he has commented that it's a combined failure, complete failure. And this failure is a combined failure of the scientists, not only the scientists, of the planners, of the political leadership, of everybody, even the sociologists. Because we could not even think about. And today, until unless you think about a predictive technology, this is not the end of things, because COVID-19 is not the end of things. Before we get settled to this COVID-19, you will find that another much more lethal and much more difficult to control, another kind of, virus will crop up. Now, these are the major problems. So what do you do? How do you face this challenge? Again, a multidisciplinary thing. Because in silos, we cannot do anything. For example, a simple, a virologist will not be able to do anything. In IIT Kharagpur, one of our colleagues, in fact, I was the head of School of Medical Science and Technology, and after I left, then, in fact, Professor Shuman Chakraborty, he was the next head. In between, there was another head, of course. Then Professor Shuman Chakraborty, he was working in mechanical engineering department on microfluidics. And you might have seen in the media today. So Shuman, during this COVID pandemic, this time when the lockdown is going on, so Shuman talked to one of our professors of virology, and then in bioscience department, and then they just decided that we must do something so that the testing of COVID can be done with much less money. Because remember that leadership today means you must be very good in finance. Whatever we do today, it must be financially viable, because the product or the process or the service, anything that you want to give, provide, it must be financially viable. Now to do that, so now, for example, what we are doing, why so less number of testings throughout the country? It is simply because of the fact that it is very costly. Actually, we need a real-time PCR, which is a very expensive equipment. How many RT-PCR, as we call it, are there? Forget about the villages or the, the suburban areas of India. Even in the major cities of India, we did not have, we were not ready with that. So Shuman and Arindam, both of them, I mean, they have come up with a novel idea of using microfluidics, which is very important area of mechanical engineering. Many of your colleagues also must be doing their work, their research in this area. So what is important is that through this microfluidic channel, he will be passing these samples, and then through the biochemical reactions, you have to identify that whether COVID is there or not, positive or not. So this is the whole cost. How much will be the cost? Today, if you go to any hospital, they will be charging you huge amount of money. The total cost will be less than 400 rupees. And the equipment is just nothing, very less, whereas the RT-PCR, the total cost will be almost 25 lakhs. This will be less than 25,000. So innovation is the next important thing of the leadership. Leadership means that you have to have innovative mind in technology and also innovative mind in your business management with financial management. Let's see that in healthcare, when I have entered, that so many important things are there to be done. We are talking today about, COVID. So it is not only that the COVID identification, even the nature of this COVID is not known today. That means you will find that when it first came from China through Europe to America, India, and because of, air traffic, it had very soon spread all over the globe. There is no country which has been left, untouched by COVID-19. So what happens now is the strains you will find in many places are different of the different COVID viruses in different countries. So what to do with that? So we have to get the complete genetic analysis of them and then keep, to get the total, the antivirus, this, drugs or vaccines, whatever it may be, it is extremely important that you have to know the complete nature of the virus. Inside the virus, we have got a genetic element, genetic material. And unfortunately, that genetic material of coronavirus, this form, it is actually Corona 2. We call it as Corona COVID-19 since it started in 2019 December in China. Now, incidentally, our human cells, it is very much susceptible. We attract COVID. And it can, so genetically, you have to identify that what is the genetic variations. You will find a term which is used very often is the mutated version of COVID. That means there is constant, it is not only that we are becoming smarter, these bacteria, this virus, they are becoming smarter and they are becoming more smarter. So this is a very, very important thing because human beings in the entire history of creation, it's hardly, maybe that it's very difficult to say that from human, that means from which point we will say, from the point of view of the evolution. But then right from the birth of the earth, that means within almost 50 crores of years of the birth of our earth, this kind of, the bacteria or the unicellular life, it started. So life started in the form of bacteria, life started in the form of virus, much, much before anything else came. So they are also becoming more and more smart. And it is because of the fact that they are becoming more and more smart, you have to understand that they are also evolving. As I said, that the technology is evolving, the biological sector is also evolving. Unless you understand that evolution, the nature of the whole thing, we will not be able to solve any of the problems. Everything is evolving and evolving at a very, very fast pace. Now let's see that how to take care of that. Imagine that the amount of data which will be generated only in understanding the nature of COVID. It's phenomenal just because, the gene sequencing itself takes huge huge amount of memory, the storage space, and then the pharmaceuticals of it. That means you have to identify the appropriate vaccine on the or the antiviral drug. And then it's not that, okay, you just simply suggest and it's a trial and error method. Remember that in every science today, including in humanities, there is a process, there is a method, and there is a mathematics. There is a pattern. So understanding this pattern is extremely important. And those of you who are listening to this, you must understand that it will be virtually impossible to find the solution without the intelligence which is given by machine. So machine intelligence is just not a buzzword only. Machine intelligence is an area which really, truly speaking, is extremely important for the solution of many of our problems. I do not know how many of you have used machine intelligence. Now, sometimes in India, what happens that it becomes a buzzword and everybody starts working in a certain area without really, okay, the whole world is working, we are also working. So do not follow that. It's not that, okay, we have to publish so many papers and we are publishing. That's not the correct thing. It's very important to understand that what is coming and to really apply it in applied fields of science. Let's consider that, okay, it's not only COVID. In healthcare sector, in the villages today, we do not have any appropriate mechanisms. How many doctors are there in remote villages? None. It's very difficult. I know at least, in West Bengal, the condition. Though, so there are some rural hospitals, but then per several thousands of people, there is not even a single doctor. And then that doctor also may not be adequately skilled or specialized one. So we have to now think about, for example, the ECG signal. You can have a small company, a small entrepreneurship firm. You can start a small pathological or radiological unit in a village or a suburban area. But then what next? So you have to know that today, since the population, it has now reached almost 1.32 or 1.33 billion, 133 or 135 crores. And it is continuously on the increase. So we have to think about making an automated decision. So in this respect, I must say that another very important technology which has come today, which is known as Internet of Things, IoT. This is also not simply a buzzword, my dear friends. This is not a buzzword, and this is a reality. And not today. In India, we do not know. In 2007, the total global population and the total number of people who are connected with internet, it was the same. Imagine all the people on earth. If we assume everybody, even the poorest of the poor, is also connected to the internet, for example, if we assume, then the non-human beings connected to the internet, it crossed in 2007, 13 years back. And imagine that today we have got the total, human population is almost 6.7 or 6.8 billions. And then it is almost 680 crores. So 6.8 billions. And how many of the things which are there, how many of them are connected to the internet? It is almost, 25 billion today, because, the number, it varies from one study to another, but then approximately say like that. That means that is more than 3.5 times. And within 20 years, almost all of us will have on the average, 6 devices which are connected to the internet. Why? Because all these problems of healthcare, suppose a hospital, we now need everything to be not, solved by the human beings, because the complexity of the problem is increasing tremendously and we need the sensors. And these are the sensors I'm talking about, which includes even the camera. And camera is a very, very important type of sensor because, Then suppose ECG, many people there, they may be thinking that I will make one ECG machine. ECG machines, even in India, it was being, there was one N-Cardio, one Lucknow-based company, I remember in 1980s. I had purchased in IIT Kharagpur one ECG machine from them. So that is almost 40 years back. So it's not that it's a very new thing and all. But then those days, in fact, in 1979-80, we had done a project where can the machine, detect that, okay, whether the ECG signal is normal or abnormal. So I was working with that project. So whether it is ECG or EEG, even say 40 years from 1980, today even to 2020, a lot of students, they will be working on the same problem in the universities, in our engineering institutions. So in 40 years, lot of additional knowledge base has been generated. My dear friends, please remember that to be a leader, this additional knowledge base, you need not be expert in everything. But then to be a very good leader, you have to have a very fairly good amount of idea about what are the evolution and the pattern of evolution which is coming up today. We talked about, so that means, the elderly people. Today, everywhere there are elderly people in almost all the homes in the cities, in the suburban areas, everywhere. Because our children, they are, going somewhere else from one city to another. Many of them are going to USA, to Europe to do their studies there, professionally. So the old people are staying alone at home. So for elderly people, healthcare becomes a very important thing. So we have to have some kind of a sensor-based systems which will be in a dress which the elderly people should wear. And then, for example, it's a simple thing which is just a mobile. Now this mobile we talked about, so inside the mobile we have got a large number of sensors, including, a gyroscope. So if you fall down in the bathroom, then immediately it will be detected, and then you can send, because these are our young students, they are very good at it, and you can immediately send an alert to the doctor, to the relatives, and whosoever. But then this is not the everything. The important thing is that with these sensors, we have to process the data. Because tomorrow, a day is coming when before I come to know as the patient that I am going to have some kind of heart problem, the machine should be able to predict that, okay, within 2 hours, this person is going to have some heart problem, and immediately the alert should go to the doctor. And we can really take care of a large number of population, because in every country now population is aging. So for the aging population, we need lots and lots of technology, because healthcare, remember, is one of the most important things. There are hundreds of projects, hundreds of ideas, and hundreds of things which can be done. Again, I am saying that in IIT Kharagpur, so what is needed is a vision. And in the country, we really need visionaries. In IIT Kharagpur, we started this School of Medical Science and Technology, not today, in 2001, when we were observing our Golden Jubilee. It is the first IIT in India. So 50 years back, we did it. So this particular, and I am very happy to say that one of the prime movers was Dr. APJ Kalam, who subsequently became the president, and he was and he was, as the president of India, the last thing that he did was, inaugurating our, that foundation stone of a hospital, the research hospital at IIT Kharagpur. Incidentally, thereafter I joined BESU as the Vice-Chancellor, and I had to do a lot of this academic leadership. And then I came back again after my term was over. I was there for about 10 years, and I have learned a lot from my students. So remember that young people, you have got lots of very good ideas, and you have that confidence that you can do, and you can do a lot for the country. Let's see that other kinds of things other than healthcare. It's a very important problem will be coming in transportation sector. So Government of India, they have come up with several projects. One of them is the smart city project. So I should say that smart city, along with that, the government should seriously think about smart village, because it is the villagers, the coastal people, they are getting and they are really feeling the brunt of it. In Orissa, in Bengal, in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, everywhere, throughout the eastern coastal part, in Bangladesh, people are getting the brunt of so many different cyclones, and now the frequency will increase and increase because the environmental problems are so different. So the predictive weather and not only the predictive environment has to be taken into consideration. The rural roads, or maybe that the urban area, the major problem in transportation is that there's a huge jam, and then in Bangalore you go there and then the vehicle doesn't move at all in all the cities, and unless you come out of your hotel well in advance, you will miss your flight so many times, whether it's in Bangalore or even in Delhi or in Calcutta, everywhere. So this is the kind of scenario today. So what do you do there? So transportation problem, now in many cities they are using for that the surveillance, the traffic surveillance cameras. So remember that a lot of people, they are starting their business. Now are these cameras smart cameras? We are going to Smart India Hackathon. Remember the term. So Smart India, it should take care of smart village. And not only that, for Smart India, even in smart city, we need, for example, a camera which can not only just take the photograph. Suppose this video camera, it is taking the photographs and then it will be stored somewhere. But then that should not be the end of it. So a camera should be one, a smart camera and a dumb camera. That means it may be a digital camera. So not merely that, okay, we are entering the digital domain. So smart camera means, intelligent camera means, it should be able to identify everything that it sees. Just as human beings, I am on a traffic police, I am just sitting on the traffic corner and then I can see. So basically, it should be able to find out that how much amount of, the traffic congestion is there. There may be a long queue. The queue can be identified. Now imagine your problems. So once we talk about the things that can be done, the important thing is that I have to tell about the problems as well. For example, a camera, an outdoor camera you have kept. Now today it is daytime and it is, it can take the photographs. When it becomes evening, when it becomes dark, night, what do you do with it? So that camera will work? No. It will not. So what you have to do? Number one is you can purchase some very good expensive camera which can have, with IR lighting systems with that. So using, once the camera should be able to constantly identify that how much amount of, so light sensor should be there. In fact, even in our current day smartphones, many of you are having that cell phones or the smartphones which are having all these, the sensors attached with it. Now, so immediately then when it is becoming evening, then the IR camera, it should be operative. But then the major problem is, once you want to purchase that kind of a camera, it is very expensive. Some people can purchase it, but not all of the people can purchase it. Without that, in India, when you are trying to make Smart India, remember that we have to be more innovative, because doing a thing in Europe or in America, it is much more easier. For example, in this case only, because the population is much less and they have developed their cities, their transportation, their roads in a very planned way. In India, nothing is planned. So you are taking charge of a country, my dear students, which has not been designed in a planned way, which has not been, properly implemented, and where things are not that costly. We are financially not at all strong economically. So what to do? we have to think about the more, simpler yet very robust and very reliable kind of solution. So when we talk about, for example, a simple example I am giving about, say, the camera. So can we think about a camera which can continuously model the outdoor environment? That means how much amount of light is there. As we move towards darkness, towards evening, dusk, so the amount of light is decreasing. What the camera should do is it should continuously model the background, the lighting condition, and interestingly, it should be able to identify, even when it becomes dark, whether a person is moving or not. And that kind of a technology has to be developed. Who will do that technology? So you have to, the young people has to do it. And remember that it is very important. I can just tell you a small story about, say, you were talking about leadership. It was 1983. And in IIT Kharagpur, I was the youngest, one of the youngest. Those days we had lecturer, assistant professor, and professor, three-tier system. Now, interestingly, one gentleman, there is a defense organization known as DIL, Defense Electronics and Applications Laboratory. It's still there in Dehradun. So DIL Dehradun director, he was coming to our department. He was a friend of our head of the department. So our head, he said he, asked some of the senior professors and also me to come to a meeting where this gentleman, he will be discussing about a very important problem. Imagine that in 1983, and he wants us to take a project. That was the start of my defense project, 1982 or 83. So the gentleman came at 10 o'clock. So then he said that he's a director of an institute, DRDO laboratories. So he said that to our head of the department, that he was friend of our head of the department. He said that, look, for the last 1 month, I have visited so many places in Europe and in America. They wanted to have a satellite-based remote sensing so that the final, those data, the images can be useful for the defense people. Imagine that a satellite, those days in 1982, the Landsat, the resolution was only 57 meter by 79 meter. Think about your camera today in your, cell phone. And those days we were taking 1 pixel of the image is 57 meter by 79 meter. That means your administrative building, then the road in front of your administrative building, the road behind your administrative building, together with everything, it becomes 1 pixel. Several, 2, 3, 4 buildings together, roads, it's all combined together, you get only 1 pixel. So imagine that I have to now break open that pixel. Now pixel is a minimum amount of information. So you cannot break a pixel to find and to identify that, okay, this is the road part and this is my administrative building, this is my electronics department next to the administrative building, like that. Okay, can I do it? So in 1983, these were the problems. So he wanted very high resolution objects of defense interest from these kind of images. So he said that, okay, he had gone to so many big shots, including, in fact, Asriel Rosenfield. He was considered as the father of image processing. And so he had met in Purdue, he had made case Fu. So they all said that, no, we do not do this kind of a work, because in America they had much better resolution images, and in India we didn't have any. We were using the American satellite images, that is Landsat image. And imagine, so he said that I had also gone to several places like, say, IIT Bangalore, IIT Madras, and they said that no, at subpixel level, this is known as subpixel classification. We cannot break a point to find that what is there inside. So we do not work in these areas. So immediately our own team, our senior professor, they also said that no, this will be very difficult, and we also haven't worked in this kind of an problem, because you take a money and then you cannot do it is a very difficult and a challenging problem. And then our head, I will never forget that day, that he said that, okay, Ajoy, you take him to the guest house, you take lunch, and then he will be going back to Calcutta to catch the flight. So then in the guest house, I said, sir, would you like to take veg or non-veg? So he was so much, because for the last 1 month, he has been just trying all over the globe, but then he never heard any positive kind of a reply that, yes, I can take up this project. So he said that, look, I am not interested. I have not come to IIT Kharagpur for this. Nor had I gone to IIT Bangalore or IIT Madras for listening that, okay, we cannot do it. And then he said one thing, which I'll never forget. So he took my hand, and then he said that, look, young man, he had forgotten my name. Look, young man, that I can tell you one thing, that young people should not have the right to say no. All these last 1 month, I met with all very senior professors. And then they all said that, no, it cannot be done. We cannot take up this project. But you are the youngest person whom I am meeting today. And young people should not say no to any problem. You take up this project. We know that it's difficult. It's challenging. Any amount of money is required, we will give you from Indian Defense. But please do not say no, and it is very difficult. Everybody knows that this is difficult. But you have to do it. And then I said, and he said that only if you say yes, I will take lunch. Imagine that the kind of hazard I had to face. So I said, yes, sir, okay. So then he took his lunch, and that was the time when he came, he was absolutely, devastated. And all these 2-3 hours he was with us, he was absolutely in a very dejected mood, because he has to go back to Delhi and to DRDO headquarters, to his boss, he has to explain. And those days, in India, he had already spent a lot of money. So imagine that this kind of situation will come. But remember, my young friends who are listening to this, that you cannot say no to any problem. And India now requires the leaders. And I can tell you that we truly require leaders like you who will never say no. So imagine then, coming back to the technological problem, so we have to then make a camera. Always remember that in India, we cannot really all the time purchase the things either from America or from Europe or from China. We are flooded with Chinese goods. And all said and done, we cannot go without that also. Because even the components, everything are still based on the Chinese stuff. What is needed is we must be self-reliant. Now this is much more difficult doing it than saying it. And for that, you need truly the leadership. And a leader will be one who knows the problems and who knows how to solve the problem. It's not that, okay, Dr. Kalam, he was the greatest leader. Can you imagine that as a leader, way back in mid-70s, those days in ISRO, I was there as an intern. So I was there for 3 months in 1977, I suppose, yeah. And then that time I had seen Dr. Kalam, he was selected by none other than Vikram Sarabhai, who was the chairman of ISRO. And Vikram Sarabhai and Bhabha, they were the two persons who were the stalwarts in our atomic energy and space research programs. So Sarabhai, he had the eyes to find that who can deliver. And there were people, the scientists, who were having much more degree than Dr. Kalam. Dr. Kalam even didn't have any PhD degree. And in that sense, they were much more, and all the other departmental heads, many of them, they had their PhDs from University of California, from Stanford and all. But then the ISRO chairman said that no, Dr. Kalam will be Mr. Kalam will take care of this. And he was given the whole responsibility of satellite launching vehicle, that is a rocket, the first rocket of India. Can you imagine in mid-70s, in 1976, 77, and he came up. So for a great leader, you have to really devote lots of time. I had seen Dr. Kalam, he never went, he was staying in a simple hotel. It's a lodge kind of a thing. He used to go home from ISRO, VSSC Trivandrum, only once a week, and then with all his, clothes and all, and then cook possibly himself in his small place. And again on Sunday evening, he will come back. And he used to sleep in his office. But years together, what was needed is he was not an expert in all the things that was being done. It says there are so many subcomponents, there are so many things which have to be assembled to make a rocket. And those days, the technology was not so much easily available. Imagine that he did it. And he did it not today, in late 70s. And the first satellite launching vehicle known as SLV-3, it could be done by Dr. Kalam. And that's why he is possibly the greatest leader that this country has ever got. Even from technological point of view, and without technology, there cannot be anything. Again and again, I'm saying that do not think that I will not know the technology and I will be the great leader. Absolutely not possible today. So to become a great leader, you have to know, at least you need not be an expert in your own, in the technological field, but you have to know one thing. What is that? That is, it is evolving and it is changing. Remember that it is more true today than in 70s or 80s or 90s. Today in 2020, in this decade, things will move much more faster. So whatever is true today will be not true tomorrow because newer technologies are coming. Simply, I am talking about these IoT technologies. Can you imagine that there will be almost 75 billion of internet devices which will be connected to the internet, IoT, everywhere, every human being. Your agricultural fields, we talked about so many problems, the crop management problem, the soil problem, the water problem, the weather prediction, fertilizer problem, everything. How do you do it? You need the sensors, and all these sensors must be connected to the internet. Remember, my young friends, that the country today must give, because sometimes, it's a little bit tragic that in our country people, I must say that people, they don't consult, because sometimes the decisions are taken at a level where not much of importance is given to somebody who really knows or who is really truly visionary. There were times where a lot of visionary people were there and they really used to take the decisions. And as I said, that it was not only Dr. Kalam, along with Dr. Kalam, he made a team. So as a leader also, you must make a team. And you should not take the credit of doing it. Remember that you should give the credit to your teammates, to your subordinates. Never say the word that I. Instead, because you may say that, okay, in your talk you had said I. Because that was just to show that, to talk about to inspire you, that what that gentleman told to me. But then whatever we have done, it was a team effort. And today, small things can be done individually, 2 persons, 3 persons. In India, we must understand that in this age or era of interdisciplinariness, we have to work as a team. The big companies, the big industries, the multinationals, the Western people, they have understood it long back. That it is important to work in an interdisciplinary environment, and then that, you need to manage the entire team and never say that I did it. Give the entire credit to the team. If you just go through some of the lives of some of the great leaders, You will see that they have never said that, okay, these I have done it. I term should not come. It is we. And it is my team who has done it. Give more credit to them, your team who has done it. And then only they will be inspired. And I am sure that you can do it, and only you can do it. Because it is important that in this era, until unless the young people, I'm so happy that the Smart India Hackathon is one of the most important projects which has inspired so many students from all over the country. I must congratulate and thank AICT for taking this great effort. MHRD also, Dr. Sahasra Buddhe, he has taken a personal, because I was in AICT for during those periods where it was being started. So Dr. Sahasra Buddhe, he has taken a tremendous effort, and the whole team again, not an individual. So it's a great thing. And who are the real heroes out of this? Our young students, our young faculty members, our teachers who are mentoring them. Because all of you, our faculty members, you deserve commendation because they could not do it alone on their own. And it is you who have really guided them to do this. Very important thing, as I said, is in every sphere, whether it is in the area of the energy, because many people, they say that we have to go for renewable energy. All said and done, you cannot go immediately to completely solar or the renewable energy sector, because it will also take time. But then we have to accelerate that process, because without that we cannot do anything. So how to manage the different types of energy resources? Some of you may be doing, I'm sure that you have done. So energy resources that we have got, so when to use which kind of energy. For example, there may be energy arising out of biomass. There may be energy coming from windmill. There may be energy coming from the solar panels. There may be your conventional electrical energy coming from fossil fuel based electrical plants. So all these energy from solar, you are giving it to the grid. So it is known as grid connected solar system. Now you have to think about, and you have to make a grid which is, now it is smart, but you have to make a smarter grid. So smart grid is a very important thing. Like say, as I said, that smart sensor, smart camera, smart grid. What the smart grid will do? It will, at any point of time, it should know that the objective is every person or every individual or every business house, every enterprise, every industry must get its due electricity all the time. So what is for that, what is needed is, today we are getting the electric bills. At the end of the day, in fact, this month in Calcutta, we got the electric bills which were much higher than what it used to be. Maybe that they have not taken it properly during the last 2-3 months because of COVID. But then what is needed is a smart metering system. Whatever you and not only the electricity meter, what is needed today is the smart electrical meter, electricity. Then along with that, we are getting, gas. Why not in the Western world we get the gas? It should be, you go to the gas office, or you can, now everything is online, it can be done. So even you can have how much gas you are consuming in your house, the cooking gas I am talking about. There should be a meter for that. There should be an electrical meter. And then when water becomes scarce, we cannot afford to waste water that we are doing today. And there will be, I can tell you that within 10 to 15 years, there has to be water meter in every house. Maybe that the poor people, those who cannot afford, we should give them free. But then in the rich people or those who can afford, there should be a water meter. And there has to be, because the whole world will be reeling under water scarcity. So this smart meter again becomes a very important area where lots of things can be done by the young entrepreneurs and young people. Say, you might have seen that initial days of COVID, there was tremendous unorganized kind of things. Why? Because things, even today it's happening. We are not getting the things. In a market you go, there's nothing. And why is it so? Because there's an important thing in today's world, that is the supply chain management. As an electronics engineer, I may not know what is supply chain management. But then, as a good leader, you have to know about that. There's one thing, which is known as RFID tag. I had seen that in late 90s only in the United States, they were using RFID tags everywhere. Today, in many of the Indian, when you go to a shop, in a big mall, you are using the products which are having an RFID tag, and when you are paying the bill, there's an RFID reader. You can make that RFID reader. Can you make it more smart? Have you ever thought about it? So only sky is the limit. Bringing smartness today by effectively writing good code, good software, and then inside the sensor, inside the camera, you have to embed that smartness inside. And then you need a wireless connection. And that is what is needed for tomorrow's technology. To make smart India, I must say that you should be ready to make the sensors as smart, the cameras as smart, RFID tag. For example, now they are doing, so you can, through this RFID, you can locate a person. Now many people, you must be using, the GPS systems for location, identification. But can you think about something else, which will be, because even in GPS, there is some kind of an error. Exactly, can you think about how can I locate something, some object, and more importantly, how can I locate it when it is on the motion? So this is very important from security point of view, for supply chain management point of view, because in a big carriage of wagons, some materials are coming. How do you know that how much amount of material is there everywhere? Imagine even a big mall. We are going inside the mall. And then we are, for example, many people now, they purchase, ready-made pants, shirts. We give the trial and then we keep it somewhere else. Who will take care of that? So it all should be done using the location identifier. Imagine in a big mall where there are, 5-storied mall. So the management everywhere, they have to take care of a lot of things. So it is not only just the location. Then their inventory is coming from outside. You have to keep it somewhere. And the final product is going out of your enterprise. You have to keep track of that, where it is going, whether it has reached or not. So lots of very interesting things are there. But again, lots of products you will find are already there. You may think that, okay, all the products are there. Either China has done it, or America has done it, or Europe has done it. But where is our role in it? It is simply because of the fact that we could not redefine our academic processes. And I must thank the university and Gunapur, where you have got so many brilliant kind of faculty members, and you have organized the Smart India Hackathon. Please ensure that all our students, they who are participating, and there are so many such hackathons. I had been part of many such hackathons which were organized by other institutions. But then I didn't have I inaugurated or in the inauguration or valedictory. But this is an opportunity where I could talk for slightly more duration. So I must thank you for that. I have already taken a lot of time because I was supposed to talk for only 1 hour. And now it is almost 1 hour, 40 minutes. So if needed, if any of the students, if you can have any question, then you can send the questions to Professor Misro or any of the team, and then Professor Misro, you can send me the queries or the questions, and I would be very glad to
Thank you, sir.
to
Definitely, I will share the questions received from the participants because really they might have listened such type of sessions, your inspired sessions, and already you have received the many more feedbacks in YouTube lives because our participants are watching this in YouTube live, sir. So really, I will share all the question with you because I am having the your mail ID. Definitely, I will share with you and student most be they may disturb you later on also, sir. Uh, Sir, before I will pass the my anchor to share the vote of thanks over here. If I'm having all a small request to you with your permission. uh, if all the delegates who are joined with us at this, because we have allowed all the participants to join with us over YouTube live, but some of the delegates with us in Google Meet, kindly switch on your camera so that we will take photo with our respected sir, Roy sir. Really, it's a great opportunity that we are having with Professor Padma Shri Roy sir. So all the respected delegates are requested to kindly switch on your camera on your video so that we will take a selfie. Roy sir, is it permissible with your permission only?
surely I would be glad because
Thank you, sir.
we are all teachers. I would be really very glad to be photographed with all of you.
Thank you, sir.
And then you send this photograph to all the
Definitely.
no to all the participants and tell them that they should be able to do the face recognition on this because
Oh,
this is coming again from security point of view a big problem.
no, no, you
So
added one task for them.
yeah. And finally, I would only like to tell one thing that
Yes, sir.
is, I must, you know, I must convey my very best wishes to all those who are involved with this whole thing, and especially to the students of this who are participating here. And I wish each one of you very best in your endeavors for tomorrow to make a very strong and self-reliant India. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Roy sir, Roy sir.
Hmm. Yes.
So this is Dr. Subramaniam, Dean R&D from GIT University.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yes.
our pleasure. It's our pleasure, sir, to have you today. It's a wonderful, inspiring talk. In fact, I had listened to Dr. Kalam many times, and after that, your speech, in fact, has inspired us very much today, sir. Thank you so much for your
Thank
wonderful
you,
talk.
Dr.
Yeah, thank you,
Subramaniam. Thank
thank you,
you.
Subramaniam sir. Over to Sumit
Thank you.
Bhadra. Over to Bhadra. Bhadra is there?
Yes,
Bhadra?
sir.
Yeah. Over to you, please. Go ahead, beta.
Sir, we are heartily privileged to hear you and your uplifting words. Thank you so much, sir. With this, we come to the end of our second day's live session of the virtual grand finale of Smart India Hackathon 2020 Software Edition at the institute level. Thank you everyone for your cooperation and support and have a virtuous time ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
sir. Namaste,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All the best to all of you. Best wishes. Okay.
On behalf of all the participants, we are very much
Thank you, sir.
grateful, sir.
Thank you.